The lightbox outside of La Maison des Artistes Visuels Francophones aims to give Winnipeggers a chance to interact with one of its most storied streets in a new way. The lightbox is sharing a combination of photography, sketching, and mixed media elements created by Chinese-Canadian artist Tree that is on display at La Maison des Artistes Sculpture Garden. That installation is called Weaving Provencher's Story, and it explores the iconic St. Boniface neighborhood through an historical and an imagined lens. Tree joins me in the Classic 107 studios to tell us more. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, hello.
So, when you first came here to Winnipeg, I think 4 years ago, you were saying, from Hong Kong, what were your first impressions when you saw St. Boniface and when you saw Provencher Boulevard?
It's so beautiful, and like the garden, I really like it because the first time I went to St. Boniface was last year, November.
Wow.
For my debut solo exhibition there. So the building of La Maison is like very impressive because it's full of historical feelings, and it's just magnificent to me. And I'm so glad to have the chance to exhibit my works there twice.
Yeah. What inspired you to want to capture Provencher Boulevard through weaving Provencher's story? In other words, when you had that first exhibition at La Maison des Artistes last year, what was the moment for you where you were like, oh, I've got to come back here and I've got to capture this again?
I think after the first debut solo, I just think my story with the building and with the location is just not end there yet. I think there will be more to happen and experience. And that's why when I get the chance to submit my proposal for this lightbox, I pull my all in.
Yeah, absolutely. It shows with all of the different elements that go into weaving Provencher's story between the photographs and the drawings that are superimposed on them. I want to get to that in a second, but also there's these animation elements as well that are a part of this. Maybe even before we get there, how does it compare when you're capturing a community like St. Boniface, like Provencher Boulevard, compared to the artistic experiences you had back in Hong Kong trying to capture that community?
The most significant difference is while I'm capturing the cultural experience in St. Boniface, I try to learn from people. Try to learn from their story and then what they experience and all the cultural background from different interviewees. But in Hong Kong, because I live there, so I didn't pay that much attention on people, but instead I pay attention on the experience I have as a child, like long time ago, or what did I learn from that? So it's more like objects, but in here I learn from people's.
Sure, because people back in Hong Kong, like that's just part of your life. That's not as much the influencer when you're getting to know people, you're getting to know a community here in St. Boniface. Maybe that's really interesting though too, because I'm wondering now, how do you think weaving Provencher's story would be different if you had been a part of that community for longer than having just seen it for the first time last year?
Very interesting. Because if not were the exhibition last year and this project, I won't know that St. Boniface is an area for francophone. It's a big, like huge part of them. Although not all the interviewees is francophone, but like two of them prefer to do their interview in French. And I don't speak French.
Okay.
I only have travel level, so
that'd be a bit of a challenge.
yeah.
Wow. So then you started this project. You started to try and capture Provencher Boulevard with your camera to start, I think.
True.
What were you looking for with your camera as you tried to capture Provencher's story?
I try to capture stories and emotions, and like they take me to those places they mentioned during my interview with them, and I didn't know they're a river in St. Boniface, but they took me there. And then one of the interviewee took me to see all the stainless steel sculpture created by his wife. And it's so
Wow.
magnificent. Yeah.
That's interaction with another artist that maybe you weren't expecting as well. What a surprise to be able to then encounter like an actual person's story as opposed to the like just the architecture or just like the history of that place. How did those kind of interactions with people who said, I want you to see this part of my community, my Provencher experience, how did that influence the drawings that you put onto these pictures afterwards?
When I'm interviewing them, I would imagine what color can suit them. So some, when they're telling their story, some is full of vivid color, and some maybe start with some dark place and sad, but at the end, they're so happy in their life nowadays. So I'm thinking how to train all them together. So at the end, it's not just one short 10-second animation. It will be like 1 minute at the end. So it will be fluent in image.
So all these different, there's the weaving image that you're talking about in the title. You're weaving all these different stories then of people in Provencher together to tell the story. There's also an interesting element with those drawings that help to imagine what the future of Provencher Boulevard could be. There's you described it actually really well, and I want to read this for our listeners. You describe it as being, quote, a fusion of real and imagined perspectives, end quote. So what were you imagining about the neighborhood and what it could be?
Yeah, because by the story they're telling me from like maybe 40 years ago compared to now is so different already. And in my imagination, you can see I put so many different colors in it. Maybe from the beginning of one animation, it start with 3 different colors, but at the end it's all like a rainbow or more than that. It just so lively to me. One interviewee called Patty Paul, he told me it's like the world is coming to St. Boniface because it was only Canadian or francophone, but now has so many different nationality living there, and then all different people bring different inspirations to them as well. So the life is different there.
With the world coming to St. Boniface, I love that quote a lot. How do you think weaving Provencher's story would look different if you captured it 5 years from now or 10 years from now, even knowing what you know about Provencher's history and the way that it currently is because of the work that you did to capture it in drawings and in photographs?
Wow, I really couldn't imagine that, but maybe that will be more different people in one image, because maybe in the light box there are 5 interviewees, 5 people like women, men, and different culture. One of them is a Japanese Canadian who own a gallery. But for me, if after 5 or 10 years, I couldn't imagine how many different people and things will be happen. So I don't know.
How maybe do you hope that this work maybe changes the perspective of Provencher Boulevard for the people that live in the community now? In other words, as people are going to check out the Lightbox at La Maison des Artistes, and what are you hoping that they're thinking about their neighborhood as they view these 5 different stories and the animations and the art that have illustrated them so well? What do you hope that they take away about their neighborhood from having seen Weaving Provencher's story?
I think they are all already quite inclusive while they're accepting my proposal, because as a newcomer, a like Asian artist, to do francophone or Canadian, like St. Boniface, this area, like some artists told me, Tree, why are you doing this? This not linked to you at all. Like in their angle is so weird, so odd for me to do it. But in my angle, like we all live on the earth, and then I don't see the difference. So I hope like because I studied the arts showing on the same light box before is different. Like an arts showing an object inside. And my arts, I want people to see people's matter and their stories matter, and also not only learn history from books or news, but from people alive, communicate and like my age, but listening to different age people's story and learn from them and what's matter to them. That's beautiful. Yeah.
It's a beautiful work that is on display now for the next several weeks at the Lightbox at La Maison des Artistes. I'm going to get my French right one of these days. Tri, it was so wonderful hearing about Weaving Provencher's story, and thank you so much for stopping by the studios to tell us more about it.
Thank you so much.